All right. Good evening again, and let's start with the session regarding the recording. So the thing here is uh, the Google takes 24 hours, somewhere between 18 to 24 hours for it to process. So I only get the file then. So immediately I upload it. So whenever it gives, I upload it. So that's about it. So there's no editing or anything from my end. It's just the processing of Google takes time. All right. So we will start. And just to recap from yesterday we were doing the core argument. Okay. And the thesis statement contains two things: core argument and point of view of author, or including the point of view of the author and purpose of the essay. And I taught you how to write core argument. Like it should have a broad interpretation. It should have a balanced opinion. It should have concise. It should be concise and be impactful. And I taught you that formula: synthesis is equal to thesis in support plus antithesis in opposition or on the contrary. And then so you can also include an additional dimension. And I have also told you what not to do in a core argument: citations, quotations, definitions, or examples, and using of flowery language and restating of the topic. Okay, so these things you are supposed to avoid in the core argument, and that will make a person say kya baat hai. So let's see how many of you make me say kya baat hai today, as we begin with the first set of class exercises. Yeah, so class exercise for just writing the core argument, and I'll give you 4 minutes for that. Okay, so 4 minutes for that and this topic, and your time starts now. So keep that in mind and write a core argument, and we'll read out a few. Everybody will get chances in each and every exercise we do. Some in first one, some in the next one. So like that. Those who just joined us, we are doing the class exercises. So kindly get on with it. We are writing the core argument on class exercise. So kindly get on with it. Last Last 30 seconds. And today, when we read the core argument or when we do the exercise, so you have to remember you can unmute yourself, and when I call you out to your name, you read it, and then you have to mute yourself back. Don't forget to do that. And also, if you're okay with turning on your camera, that's also fine. Okay. If you're not okay, that's also fine. If you want to turn on your camera, that's also fine. No problem with that. Okay. So, yeah, time up and we'll start. Debarshi, Debarshi, Abhinav.
People who do their work rightly in good times are able to navigate the crisis situations fairly. On the contrary, those who leave things for the last minute are bound to suffer. Having said that, having said that, some things still go out of control, which we hardly have control over.
Okay. Is it holistic? Yes, it passes the holisticity check. It passes the balance check. So thesis and antithesis is not there. But the keywords, remember the perfectly fitting keywords also you have to take. What we had done during the what we had done during the brainstorming sessions. More impactful word like proactiveness, foresightedness are sort of missing. Okay, so remember that. Ankita,
Good evening, sir.
yes, go ahead, Ankita. Good evening.
It is the proactiveness and farsightedness that helps one to correct things on time before the crisis situation and prevent difficult situation to occur. However, sometimes situations are so acute that active interventions are required then and there, even when the rain is pouring.
Okay, so holisticity is there, balance is there, even the keywords are there. So it's a good core argument, Ankita. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
so yeah. Uh, Next, Mrinal, go ahead.
The purpose of this essay is to make us realize that being proactive and foresighted in correcting our minor mistakes when things are all right and not yet derailed is important so that we are well prepared and confident whenever any storms comes to our lives.
Okay, so this one has holisticity. Uh, this one has keywords but does not have the balance. The antithesis is not there. Okay, so
All right.
above average. Okay. Devarshi, I called out your name, you missed it. I'll give you the for the next one. Don't worry. Okay, so plenty of exercise we'll be doing, right? So don't worry. So we'll go for the next topic. So, all right, again, for this is a technical uh, topic here. So, destiny of a nation is shaped in its classrooms. Destiny of a nation is shaped in its classroom. Last 1 minute. Debarshi, start us off. Debarshi waiting.
Hello.
Yeah, Debarshi.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
The classroom is not merely a space for academic instruction. It is the crucible where the future of a nation is forged. It is within these walls that values, critical thinking, scientific temper, civic responsibility, and leadership are nurtured. The quality of education, the inclusivity of learning, and the strength of the teacher student relationship collectively determine the intellectual, moral, and socio-economic trajectory of a country. Therefore, investing in equitable, holistic, and future ready education is not just a policy choice, it is a foundation act of a nation building.
Okay, so holisticity is there, keywords are there, the balance part, the sort of 20% of antithesis is or additional argument is sort of missing, but still, nevertheless, a good core argument. Next, Ritik.
So classroom are the places where the young minds are nurtured and taught to do critical thinking. This makes them ready to contribute in the nation building. However, the future of nation depends on other people as well who might not attend the classroom, and they also play a vital role in the development of the nation.
So holisticity is there to an extent, balance is there, keywords are not that impactful. So it's an average, like, uh, core argument. Yeah. Next, Kaushik.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Education is the most fundamental thing transformation. However, learning should not be confined to a classroom, and it should be a continuous process in a nation's journey.
Okay. Holisticity there there to an extent. Balance is there. Keywords are not there. So pretty below par uh, core argument. All right. We'll read one more. Chirag.
Robust education and right socialization of the young ignite critical thinking, which mold the future of a nation. However, the society has various other institutions which act as a continuous classroom, which transforms the nation to greater heights.
That institutions, what more institutions you can mention, right? So it can be what outside the classrooms, it can be society, it can be the peer group, they are the families, they are that also, that impact part. So a couple more keywords there. Keywords I'm not satisfied with. And Harsha, you had some doubts?
Yes, sir. So first, so am I audible?
Yeah, Harsha, I can hear you. Go ahead.
So first thing is like how to start this. Like only what thing comes in my mind is it is said that just the starting point, or should we write that the purpose of this essay or this essay dwells in?
Hmm.
And the second part, while writing the antithesis, like we need to start always with however, like to show that contrast, or is there any other words also we can use?
Yeah, I was about to come to that anyways after this. So first one
So,
is
so
you mentioned.
may I read my just two
Yeah,
lines I've written.
go
Okay,
ahead,
thank
Harsha.
you. Yeah. So this essay dwells in shoulder leading the nations are nurtured in early stages of life, like home, classrooms, society. However, sometimes circumstances summon the person to take responsibility and lead. So this I taken from yesterday's. Hello.
So please unmute yourself.
Sir, you are
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're
audible.
audible.
Thank you. So this is a pretty balanced and well written core argument. So to answer your first doubt, you can start. This essay deals with in this topic, or you can directly start. So start is not a problem. But I was about to anyways mention after this, when you shift from thesis to antithesis, you have to use connective words. However, because it's a clear indication, but, or on the contrary. So this is like a proper shift in the paragraph which has come. However, okay, and or you can also bring in thus if you're including additional dimension. Thus, so this you have to use. Okay, and we will go for the next one. Others who did not get a chance this time, I'll give you in the next one. Okay, and I want to see these words now. Yeah, the candle one. Single candle can both defy and define darkness. Last 30 seconds. Okay, Urvashi, can you start us off?
Yes, sir. Just like there are two sides to the same coin, everything has their positive and negative tones. What can be used as a magic wand to remove all darkness can also be used as an element of evolve. Hence, individual prudence acts as an anchor to bring light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. So the holisticity part, yes. The balance part is not there. The antithesis has to be better, and keywords are there. Okay, Simran.
Yes, sir. This statement highlights how a single person with determination and courage can conquer the evils of society, be it inequality, racial discrimination, or basic human right violation. There may be resilience from society to change, but this could be overcome by not submitting to the pressures of society.
Okay, all right. So there is balance, and to an extent, okay, and holisticity is there. Keywords are there, but still an above average. Next, anybody who has not read before, Yogita.
Yes, sir. So I wrote that the candle, which signifies one's awareness, knowledge, and wisdom, can be used to defy ignorance and define the extents of it. Though the quote highlights the antithetical nature of awareness and ignorance, it also suggests how a badly lit or dim candle can cause us more harm than good.
Okay,
However,
yeah.
okay.
Go
So
continue.
However, the quote does not holistically reflect how truth seeking is a constant exercise. For instance, half knowledge is more dangerous than having no knowledge. In this sense, a half lit candle melts the wax without giving enough light.
Okay, that's a very holistic core argument. That's one issue. There's balance. There is a proper, the antithesis and thesis, and there is also holisticity. Just that I think it became a little too big. Okay, it has to be concise. Apart from that, it's fine. We'll read one more. Kashish.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, go ahead, Kashish.
Yeah. A person who stands against the evil and take action to fight the darkness of injustice, tyranny, and ignorance lightens like a candle and define the darkness. However, not all have the courage to do so, and sometimes a single candle is not enough to defy and define the long drawn darkness.
Okay, there is balance, there is holisticity. Like none of you could bring in a little bit of additional dimension here. At times, like after all of you have written, you can add one more line. At times, what we can use one candle to ignite some other candle, so that what is one can become many, and we can ensure that the darkness is diminished to a great extent because of their collective light. Okay, so this is one thing that will actually create a little bit more impact here. Okay, so otherwise, good job. Okay, so let's go for the next exercise. And this exercise, it's not just going to be a core argument. You people are going to write entirety of the thing that we learned. Take 12 minutes, 2 minutes to brainstorm, and then to write a hook and a core argument. Your perception of me is a reflection of you. My reaction to you is an awareness of me. Take 12 minutes. Okay. Complete it. We'll just read after you're done, we'll just read out a couple of them. Time starts now. Entire introduction. Brainstorming till core argument. Everything you have to write, Simran. 5 minutes done. Last 5 minutes. Last 1 minute. And with those who have finished, we'll start reading. Others can continue writing. Raghuram?
Yes, sir. So, shall I read?
Yeah, go ahead, Raghu.
In Three Idiots movie, in the climax, Chatur, who snatched away the pen of Professor Virus from the Wang Du, when he considered him a loser and loser doesn't deserve the pen, which can deserve the pen. But Wang Du's reaction to it was not a sudden burst of anger, but he handled the situation and made the Chatur to understand that Wang Du is the scientist he is searching to sign a contract with. Here, one having emotional intelligence will use it to know about others' feeling and thus showing self-regulation and awareness of the situation to handle it. However, sometimes attitude formed through perception surroundings resulting in narrow view of oneself or others.
Okay. With respect to this, the perceptions part, justice is not done, whereas the reaction and awareness part, justice is done. So it's an average introduction. Pranjal?
Yes, sir. Once, while traveling on a ship, Swami Vivekananda had an interesting encounter. He was reading a book. Seeing this, a British passenger said, "Why don't you go sit with your own kind?" Assuming he didn't belong to the civilized company. To this, Swami Vivekananda gave no reply and simply kept on reading. A little while later, few distinguished passengers greeted Swami Vivekananda and invited him to dine with them. The man who had earlier mocked Swami Vivekananda was ashamed and, apologized to him. The British passenger had a prior belief regarding Indians. It reflected in his encounter with Swami Vivekananda. While Swami Vivekananda was aware of his own qualities, he kept his emotion in check and didn't respond. Perception is based on beliefs, value, experiences, whereas my reaction to you is based on how much I can control the emotions, and it is based on emotional intelligence.
Okay. So it's a very holistic hook as well as a core argument. Very well written. So this will be a very strong start. We'll read one more. Monisha?
Ishwar Vidyasagar, invited to a party during British rule in India, was denied entry for wearing a traditional dhoti and kurta instead of a formal European clothes. He returned to European. He did not wear a European attire, but he wore a European attire, but when he entered the dinner night, he poured the food on his clothes, explaining that the invitation was for his dress and not for him. He did not react in a critical way or a negative way. The first part reveals how someone views you, often reveals more about their own beliefs, biases, prejudices, and experience than about you. And similarly, the second part means your responses to others reflects your own inner state, which might indicate your own sensitivities or unresolved issue, not just the other person's words.
Okay, decent enough. But is this a real anecdote? I'm not like 100% sure. Okay, but even if it's not there, you can write it essay. So nobody will bother that much to check. Otherwise, it's well written. Now, I deliberately choose this topic from 2021. So because this is not a very conventional topic. Now, if you see your perception of me, first I'll tell you what is the core meaning of this topic, and then I'll tell you why I chose this topic. Your perception of me is a reflection of you is, I think, as you all understand, whatever perception we have of others is actually a reflection of us. That means our perceptions are shaped by our biases, beliefs, prejudices, experiences. So it's basically talking about our formation of attitude towards other people or other situations. The second half of the topic, my reaction to you is an awareness of me. It's talking about our behavior, how our behavior is an outcome of our self awareness. Now, let's say this topic, your perception of me is a reflection of you. This itself can be a essay topic. Only the first half. The second half, my reaction to you is an awareness of me in itself can be an essay topic. Now, if you see, it's not just one essay topic, it's two essay topics merged together. It's a bigger quote. So whenever, if at all, they give in the exam a bigger quote and you are writing an essay for that, then what you have to do is the introduction, instead of 1.5 pages, it becomes 2 pages. Instead of 1.5 pages, it becomes 2 pages, because you have to balance both things. So if this gets little extended, if possible, try and finish off in 1.5 page. If you take half a page extra also, no issue. It's okay. So keep that in mind for this. All right. Any doubts with respect to core argument? Core argument marks the end of introduction. If you have any doubts, ask me. Otherwise, time to enter the body.
Sir, do we give the antithesis after the core argument? Like, is it a part of it?
Yes, and antithesis is part of the core argument, right? I think this is your first
Oh,
session. We discussed that in the previous session, Yogita.
yes, sir.
Okay. So
Sir, how to transit, matlab, from the intro, from the anecdote, how to transit to the core argument?
yesterday we saw, right? If the topic is very simple and straightforward, directly you can use the word, like a connective word, does, or or you can go ahead in this topic. There are XYZ number of ways. Whatever is comfortable with you, you do it.
Okay. Okay.
Uniqueness, Simran, will come with practice. Just hold on, keep trying. Rome was not built in a day. You have time till August. होले होले हो जाएगा, टेंशन मत लो. So right, take feedback, right, take feedback. Yes, Pranjal, you have a doubt?
No, sir, sorry, my hand was raised.
Okay. I will lower everybody's hands then. Okay. All right. So if no further doubts, let's go to the body. All right. So simply put, body is the part where most of your marks are lying here. Most marks. Introduction will have set of marks. Conclusion will have set of marks. But the most of your marks in essay will come in the body itself. So that means you have to write a body, and quite an extensive body that is, right? So, and how to write, we are going to see. As I was discussing in the baseline test discussion, so the first sharp break in flow happens when you transition from intro to body. And first we'll learn how to prevent that sharp break in the flow. So pay attention, I'll dictate. Okay. First things first, I want you to learn and understand before I even tell you the before I even tell you how to transition. What are the things you are not supposed to do in the body, or what is one approach you are not supposed to take in the body? This one, pestle approach. I don't know which genius came up with this approach back in 2014 or 15. And every person, every Tom, Dick, and Harry started following that. First thing is, in standard format of essay writing, you're not supposed to write like that. UPSC has never told ki matlab you stick to the syllabus and then write an essay. And second thing here is, pestle approach is not at all rewarding. I am on a mission to destroy this approach. But the thing here is, it's like a hydra. I teach one person to not write pestle approach, 4 more people somewhere start writing the pestle approach. Why? Because it is very easy to do. Like pestle approach means you start with polity, You then go to economy, then go to society, then you go to technology, then you go to environment, then legal. If time is remaining, space is remaining, GS4 with allow. So GS1 to GS4, whatever the subjects are there, they just put it there as examples. Politically, environmentally, legally, this, that, stupidly. No, it doesn't work. Essay is not supposed to be written like that. You're not kids. And UPSC does not have a defined syllabus for essay. The only thing that matters here is relevance to the topic. If it is relevant, you can take the things that are there in your GS syllabus. As long as it is relevant, you can take things that are not there in your syllabus. Just that it should be relevant to the topic. And whenever these days I read an essay written in pastel approach, I sort of become like this. I lose it. So please, if you are a pastel writer, today's or last time when you wrote pastel was the last time. Not from today onwards, I'll teach you certain techniques which is supposed to be used to write, which will supposed to be used to write good essays, and most importantly, it can lead to greater dividends in your mains examination. So no more pastel. Say no to pastel. Okay, so let's go to the transition paragraph. I was telling, right, the first sharp break happens when you transition from intro to the body. So the first paragraph of your body is the transition paragraph, and I will tell you. And first pay attention here, then you can note down. I'll teach you how to write this transition paragraph and then dictate the notes. So the primary purpose of this transition paragraph is to have a smooth transition and a flow from intro to body. This is the primary purpose. Now, how to write a transition paragraph for a philosophical essay? Very simple. In essay, there are in a philosophical essays, there are keywords or metaphors, right? So for example, if you take this, a single candle can defy undefined darkness. A single candle can be an individual person. It can be a one institution against everything. It can be one society against the world. It can be a one country against the world. Or if you take the topic, which one was that? The best time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining, right? So now it can mean foresightedness, it can mean proactiveness, it can mean being self-aware. So it can mean a lot of things. So for a philosophical topic, you start decoding those words, what those keywords stand for. For example, if you tell a ship in a harbor is safe, but that is not what a ship is for. So what does this? One second. So what does these ships or metaphor of ships can be applied to? You have to start decoding that, and that we can serve as a transition paragraph. Or one sec. You can go for metaphors decoding. Or you can go for giving context. Giving context of the topic means the best time to repair the roof when the sun is shining. You can just explain, like, the context of that quote. So what is the importance of the best time? That is when you have to be prepared. That's about it. But I would suggest to go for the latter, metaphors, decoding. Why, I will tell you in a bit. First, let me tell you, for a technical, this is for a philosophical topic. For a technical topic or subject-wise topic, you start by defining, because you can properly define. For example, if it is given, patriarchy is the least noticed yet most significant structure of social inequality. Start by defining patriarchy. Or let's say if it is artificial intelligence, uh, rise of a jobless future or better job opportunities through upskilling or reskilling, start by defining artificial intelligence. Or again, here also you can give context of rise of artificial intelligence, context of patriarchy. Context is not preferred, definitions is preferred. Here you can quote, like, you can give the definitions by scientists, you can give the quotes by the philosophers, you can give textbook definitions, you can give anything. It doesn't have to be your own. You can use anything that you want. Now, why is this transition paragraph, and why am I so particular about you decoding the metaphors or defining? And also, one more thing is, remember the keywords you generated? Couple of the keywords that were perfectly fitting you used in the core argument. Couple more which are not perfectly fitting can be used here. Both here, both for technical as well as philosophical topic. Couple of them. And remaining some in the body, some in the conclusion. So why am I asking you to go for metaphor decoding or defining? Is very simple. Along with transitioning smoothly from introduction to body, and if you write a transition paragraph having the metaphor decoding or defining, that connects to the hook and the core argument, and that sets context for the body as well. Also, one more thing is, it acts as a safety net for something you may have done. Let's say you screwed up the core argument. Let's say you could not properly write a core argument, or you did not do justice to the topic in the core argument. Now you come to the transition paragraph. You have written metaphors decoding, right? You're telling a single candle refers in this essay topic refers to so and so things. Define means this, and ship ka analogy, or like, joy. What do you understand by joy? Joy is the simplest form of gratitude. So if you're doing that, if at all you have screwed up your core argument, I hope you have not, but if at all, you are sort of covering up for that by telling ki, I might have not written a very good core argument which makes sense, but see, I have understood the topic here. Now I'm decoding the metaphors. So yes, it's not like a worst case scenario. So by doing that, just in case something have happened in the core argument, this will be covered. And remember, this should not cross 4 to 5 lines. This is basically filler content. Why? Two purposes: smooth transition, and like a safety net for something that could go wrong in a core argument. So should not exceed 4 to 5 lines, because it will not be very impactful. You're just trying to have a smooth transition. So restrict this within 4 to 5 lines, and it will serve both the purposes. So take down, and we will do one small class exercise for this and move on. Okay, so take down transition paragraph. It is used to maintain flow. It is used to maintain flow while transitioning. It is used to maintain flow while transitioning from introduction to the body. From introduction to the body. Next, it should not exceed. It should not exceed 4 to 5 lines. It should not exceed 4 to 5 lines. Next point. For a philosophical topic, give the deeper meaning, or broad interpretation, of the keywords mentioned in the topic, of keywords mentioned in the topic, in bracket metaphor decoding, in bracket metaphor decoding. For example, candle, defy, define, repair, tips, etc. etc. In bracket, right? Used previously. Because if you open this book after 1 month and then you are seeing words like candle, shape, defy, then you're like, from where the hell did these words come? And why should we use this word? I just gave you this word so that you remember that you have to give a broad understanding of those words. What do they mean in the context of the essay? It can be any keyword and you have to write its interpretation. Full stop and continue. Also, you can give the context of the essay topic. Also, you can give the context of the essay topic or its keywords. Context of the essay topic or its keywords. Next point. For a technical topic, define the keywords given in the topic, or give their context, Continue. You can give textbook definition. Or quote thinkers, authors, or citations. You can quote thinkers, authors, or citations, etc. Like, for example, according to World Bank, inclusive growth means so and so. According to Karl Marx, capitalism means so and so. So anything you can give, or your own also, if at all you are, if you can come up with. All right. This is the transition paragraph. So we have done exercises previously so far on hook and core argument on a few topics. So take 3 minutes and pick any topic that we have used so far and write a transition paragraph. Any topic, philosophical, okay, any philosophical topic, and write a transition paragraph. Time starts now. Yeah. Smriti, I'm not a huge fan of headings, because I believe headings interrupt with the flow. Even if you are using, better to use it after the transition paragraph. So write a transition paragraph for any of the philosophical topic we have used so far. Yeah, somebody can read out the transition paragraph. Has raised hands. Abhinav, yes, go ahead.
The candle can be interpreted as enlightenment, reforms, healing the individual, societies, and so on. Similarly, defy and define mean removing ills, waking up, and innovation, imagination, etc., respectively.
Good enough. Harsha?
So, time to repair roof topic.
Yeah.
Repairing roof represents taking action beforehand, practicing prior to the actual event, and preparing for the worst case scenario beforehand.
Short and sweet. Okay. Nothing, it doesn't require a lot of skill. So that's about it. So let's go to the actual ways of writing the body. So far, I had told you in the last class that three major ways that we write the body is analytical or expository way, argumentative way, and the worst case scenario, we write it in the descriptive way. So in this session today, we will be studying both the analytical or expository way and the argumentative way of body writing. And tomorrow we will go for the descriptive way of body writing. So let us begin with the analytical or expository way of body writing. First, let me explain this to you and then dictate. So please pay attention while I'm explaining. So what exactly is an analysis or exposition? So the first things first here is everything, the style of body, the order of the body, the way you structure it is dependent on the nature of topic. Remember, of the first class, we classified all the PYQs or most of the PYQs based on the nature of the topic. Fully analytical, partly argumentative, right? And largely analytical and little bit argumentative. So this the way that we are going to structure the body, it is going to be dependent on nature of the topic. You start from the nature of the topic. So for fully analytical topic or partly and largely analytical topic, you have to start the body after the transition paragraph with the analysis. Okay, so this is the thing. So analysis can be done in two ways. Both are almost similar, okay, but still I'll teach you both the ways. So the first is called as the cause and effect. So in this cause and effect, now for example, the best time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. So why, what are the causes that why you should be repairing the roof when the sun is shining, and what will be its consequences? So you determine the causes and the consequences. That's nothing but the analysis, right? Now for example, you do your blood analysis when you're not well. Why do you do the blood analysis? To know the causes or probable causes why you are not well. So when you do the causes and the consequences of a topic, philosophical topic or a technical topic, that is called as an analysis. The one more way, and almost similar to cause and effect, is called as a 4W1H approach. I like to call it as a 4W1H approach. Actually, it should be 5W1H approach. I'll tell you what is 4W1H. The 4W stands for why, where, who, when, and one H stands for how. And there was one more, what. But I'm not including what here. Can anybody tell me why am I not including what?
Sir, because
Argumentative.
we have already given definition.
Exactly. The transition paragraph is nothing but what. Very briefly. Right? So we have covered what in the transition paragraph. So that's why I call it as 4W1H approach. In fact, it can actually be 5W1H approach because 1W we have already covered in the transition paragraph. Now, you this why, when, how, where, who, right? You have to use your common sense here. Not all the questions that you ask as an analysis may be relevant. Sometimes only why may be relevant, or why and who may be relevant. Sometimes all may be relevant. That is actually not the case, right? Sometimes two may be relevant, sometimes three may be relevant, sometimes only one may be relevant. So you have to use your common sense. For example, the best time to repair the roof when the sun is shining. Why is relevant? Where is actually not very relevant? Who should repair the roof? Sort of relevant, but you can skip. When, very relevant, right? So when is very relevant. How is also very relevant, like how to repair the roof. So if you see, why, when, and how are very relevant. Among them, why is very relevant, and when is very relevant. The next, number one, number two, number three, these are all irrelevant. And not only that, any analysis that you take, it has to be substantiated. I've told you, effective expression. UPSC wants effective expression, right? And effective expression means statement or the analysis. Analysis becomes your statement, and each statement should have its substantiation. And how do you substantiate? I have this technique which I call it as hamster Q. I'll teach you what is hamster Q in a while. So I'll come to substantiation in just a bit. So I'll repeat again, analysis or exposition, you can do it in a two ways. Cause and effect and 4W1H approach. If you see it, both are same actually. But this cause and effect is bit specific, and whereas 4W1H approach is bit broad. That's the difference. So cause and effect, you take the causes and consequences of the given topic. There can be multiple causes, and if there are multiple causes, each cause becomes a dimension, and there can be multiple consequences, each consequences become a dimension. Only thing you have to notice, after the transition paragraph, don't first write the consequences and then write the causes. Be logical. See, be common sense. 20% of essay writing is all about common sense. But the sad thing about this is, common sense is not so common, right? So if you do consequences and causes, structure is gone. Okay. And then the next is why, where, who, when, how approach. That is 4W1H approach, because what is already covered in the transition paragraph. And everything, any analysis you do has to be substantiated. And how do you substantiate? I told you, hamster Q. So what is this hamster Q? This is the hamster Q. So H is an historical, H means historical reference. A is analogy. So far, if you see in the market, people just use examples or to an extent some statistics to substantiate. That will make your essay very monotonous. I would always want you to use a combination of this. Yeah, I know, largely you will use examples only, but use other things also, so that your essay has diversity and your expression becomes effective. Remember, credit will be given for effective and exact expression. And more diversity, it will become more effective. So H is the historical reference. Now, historical reference doesn't mean whatever you study in your ancient, medieval, or world or modern Indian history. Any historical event is a historical reference. So not just restricting it to the syllabus. Next is analogy. We can give analogy across time and space, like comparison between India and Pakistan, North Korea, South Korea, right? USA, USSR, between two states. Okay, so analogy. M is mythology, and mythology means just do not restrict yourself to Ramayana and Mahabharata. There are a lot of other mythologies that you can include. So mythology. S is statistics. So you can include all the statistics, whatever statistics you have batted for your GS. Apart from that, also any relevant statistics you can use. T is theories or thinkers. So T is theories or thinkers. Not just again GS. You can also, if you have any theories or thinker in the optional, you can bring your optional theories or thinkers. Just don't overuse anything. E is the most commonly used. Any examples? You can also bring research citation. You can actually bring research citations also, and you can also use quotes or quotation. Quotes by leaders, quotes by or anonymous quotes, anything to use it as a substantiation. So hamster Q is historical reference, analogy, mythology, statistics, theory or thinker, example or research citation or quotation. And in this hamster Q, the ones which I have written in the capital letters here in this slide are more preferred than the ones written in the smaller letters. But everything can be used. So statistics, theories or thinkers, examples and quotes are more preferred. Others are also you can write, but the key here is to have diversity of this. So key here is to have diversity of this. Don't just restrict yourself. Don't just restrict yourself to just examples. Now coming to the doubts, uh, uh, historical reference, just do not limit yourself to what you study in GS. Like for example, now Pranjal told, so Greek and Roman analogy or Roman history would be relevant. What if examiner doesn't know? Remember, this is essay. In essay, you have little bit of flexibility in words. So explain that. So I always suggest, if you are using any unique historical or unique theory or thinker, unique example, which examiner might not be knowing, but uniqueness is rewarded, right? So what you have to do is take one or two more lines. Do not over elaborate or beat around the bush. So if you are afraid that the examiner might not understand, take one or two more lines and explain little bit more and make your point. And if you are using some cliched examples like Gandhi, Kalam, Elon Musk, Edison, one or two lines will do the job, because everybody knows that. You don't have to elaborate. Preference should be for uniqueness. And if you're using uniqueness, one or two lines more to convey. But if you're using cliche, try to be as concise as possible, because nobody wants to get bored. Okay. So substantiation. And this hamster Q technique is for all the three types of body writing: argumentative, analytical, as well as descriptive. So substantiation, hamster Q remains same. If you write analysis also, you have to use hamster Q to substantiate. If you write an argument also, hamster Q, counter argument also hamster Q, the descriptive form of writing, hamster Q. So the substantiation part here remains same for all the type. How to substantiate. So this will remain same. Okay. So just take down and then I'll take your doubts. Analytical or expository type of body writing. Analytical or expository type. Yes, but straight generally use poetry, you can, but in conclusion poetry hits hard. Okay, even you can use it in the body, not just don't overuse. Take down subheading. Analytical or expository style of body writing. Point number one, look at the nature of the topic given. Look at the nature of the topic given. In bracket, fully analytical, largely analytic slash largely analytical slash partly analytical. Next point, try and use cause and effect method. Try and use cause and effect method. where you are focusing upon causes and consequences, where you are focusing upon causes and consequences of the given essay topic. Causes and consequences next point, 4W1H approach. Next point, 4W1H approach. Why, when, where, who. Why, when, where, who, and how. Okay, why, when, where, who, how. In bracket, what already covered in transition para. What already covered in transition para. Next point. Next point. Use your common sense, underline common sense, to see which among 4W1H is applicable and relevant to the given topic. Applicable and relevant to the given topic. Next point. Start with the most relevant. Start with the most relevant and ignore or discard the non-relevant. Start with the most relevant and ignore and discard the non-relevant or irrelevant. Next point. All the analysis must be backed by proper substantiation to ensure effective expression. Proper substantiation to ensure effective expression. Next point. Write concisely. Write concisely. Next point. Keep the analysis simple and effective. Keep the analysis simple and effective. Avoiding over complications. Avoiding over complications. Next point. If there is a scope for a philosophical angle or analysis, if there is a scope for philosophical angle or analysis, you can start the first dimension of body. You can start the first dimension of body with that. First dimension of body with that. Next subheading, how to substantiate using hamster cube. How to substantiate using hamster cube. Take down. H, historical reference. H, historical reference, in bracket, including things outside the syllabus. Including things outside the syllabus. A. Analogy across time and space. Analogy across time and space. M. Mythology. M. Mythology in bracket both Indian and Western. Both Indian and Western. Yes. Statistics. Yes. Statistics. T. Theory or thinkers. Theory or thinkers. In bracket can use optional thinkers without overusing them. Can use optional thinkers without overusing them. E. Example. E. Example. In bracket, more unique, the better. More unique, the better. R. Research citations. R. Research citations. Q. Quote. Q. Quote. In bracket, more unique, the better. In bracket, more unique, the better. Next point, take down. In your essays, try and use a combination of the above. Try and use a combination of the above rather than just sticking to examples, which is the common norm. Which is the common norm. Next point. Try to have as much uniqueness as possible. Try to have as much uniqueness as possible, which will help you to stand out. Which will help you to stand out. Continue. Full stop and continue. However, if you are using a relatively novel or unknown substantiation, however, if you are using relatively novel or unknown substantiation or example which is unique, express it effectively so that the message is conveyed properly. So that the message is conveyed properly. Even if it takes one or two more lines. Even if it takes one or two more lines. Even if it takes one or two more lines. Next point. If you are using cliched examples, try to be as concise as possible. If you're using cliched examples, try to be as concise as possible. Take down a note. If your analysis slash argument slash counter argument slash descriptive statement slash counter argument slash descriptive statement is small in bracket 3-4 lines, and your example is also short, merge them in a single paragraph of 7 to 9 lines. Next point in the note: if either of the above is long, then use 2 separate paras while maintaining flow and coherence between the two. Let's say you finished off the statement, and in the next next paragraph, you are getting the substantiation. You can use a connective word to substantiate the above, or to prove. The most common is for example. That is like a very boring style, so don't use that connective word. To substantiate, to prove, to illustrate. I'll share you the list of connective words I have segregated. Okay, I just have to look at it next time when I give you the. Now only I'll give you the class exercise. Once I've given the class exercise, I'll share it in the channel, the list of connective words, so that it's for argument what connectives to use, for counter arguments, for substantiation, for analysis, for transition from introduction to body, for transition from body to conclusion. So I have classified them. No hard and strict rule that you have to use this, but I've classified them, and do not keep on using one thing over and over again. I've given you a compilation, so have a diversity of connective words as well. Okay. So any doubts in the analytical style of body and the substantiation, do ask.
So if we choose the analytic style, then in every para we have to do the same exercise.
No, what I told was, like, generally your essay will be a mix of analytical and little bit of nature of the topic, right? If it's little bit of scope for arguments, you'll introduce that and the counter arguments. And if nothing is there, then descriptive style is there. Okay. And so if it is let's say analysis is quite in detail and the topic scope allows it, so you can continue with the analysis as long as it does not get repetitive. So that is the approach you have to take. So the nature of the topic that is there, right? So that is very important. That's why we did those exercises. So that's, you have to develop that knack of understanding the nature of topic. So that sort of determines how do you start the body, whether you go with the analytical style or whether you go with the argumentative style. Okay.
Sir, in the transition para where metaphors are to be interpreted, they can very well be like spatial, polity, society, economy of a country. So are we not supposed to use them?
See, you're just using it for a 4 lines. You're not going to go exactly pestle. You're just going to decipher those metaphor. And if it slightly looks like pestle, it's okay. Not a problem. Just that don't like deliberately try and make it like that. Yeah.
So if we are after the core argument proceeding with the purpose of the essay, then doesn't the transition paragraph at times become redundant? Like if we are saying that we will look at this, and then we start by, okay, let's look at this.
Yeah. So my opinion is, I know, it's my opinion. The purpose of essay is redundant. So why waste your words? Because anyways, the examiner is going to read and get to know what was your purpose, what approach you take. So better to, yeah, obviously, if you write the purpose of the essay, the transition is taken care of itself. But why waste writing something boring where you can actually write a transition paragraph which serves two purposes: transition, and also acts like a safety wall just in case you screw up the core argument, which the purpose of the essay might not do that. It just gives you what dimension you have taken in the body.
So could you repeat the last part?
Since the transition paragraph serves as a transition and also a fail safe just in case you screw up your core argument, so that is a better way of transitioning than going for purpose of the essay.
Okay, actually, I'm asking this because I could not manage to write a transition para for the essay that you asked us to write the whole intro for. Your perception of me is a reflection. Because there I saw that after the hook, the core argument itself contains most of the things. Like, I don't know, like, but how are we supposed to define perception, reaction, awareness? It does did not make sense to define it after that.
No, after the core argument, so you can tell, rather than defining, because it's a philosophical topic, our perceptions are shaped by our beliefs, our faith, our biases, our prejudice. Also, our reactions and our behavior are shaped by both internal circumstances and external circumstances. So that can be a transition paragraph, 3 4 lines.
So, but this exact thing was there in the core argument. No? The
You
above
have the
account,
exact same thing in the core argument.
the above account
What was the core
illustrates.
argument? Can you read
So,
out your Can you read out your core argument?
the core argument was that the above account. So I'll just go through the first hook also, I guess. Otherwise, you wouldn't get it.
Okay, go ahead.
So the hook was that on a fine morning when Lord Buddha was delivering a sermon amongst his disciples, an arrogant young man outrageously got up and spat on his face.
Okay.
Such an act of disrespect enraged the followers, but the mightily self-aware Buddha was unmoved and simply replied, "Now what?" This made the arrogant man a forever follower of Buddha. Now, the core argument. The above account illustrates just as gold can be recognized and valued truly by a goldsmith, our own virtues, values, and moral compass shape the way we perceive reality. And at the same time, it is only through emotional intelligence and, more importantly, self awareness that we can appropriately react to situations. However, at times we need more than just awareness, we need preparedness and proactiveness to be in a situation to respond effectively, just as India responded to the Kawardi's terrorist act through Operation Sindhu.
Okay, so first of all, examples should not come in the core argument. Okay, so as I told you, no citations, no definitions, no authors, no examples. So keep your core argument without any examples, because the rest of the body are going to do that. So
And
even
so my doubt was also that I use that analogy. Should I avoid that? That gold can be valued by goldsmith, because you said that quotes should not be there.
that's not a quote, that's an analogy. So if it's a short one, you can go for that, not a problem. Okay, but examples should not be there. Now coming to the transition paragraph here, so you can very well define or set context to what exactly you mean by perception, because here the definition or giving context was not in detail in the core argument. It was more of an opinion that you have given. So as a transition you can give and go ahead, right? So, or you can use the purpose of the essay, but I find it redundant. So this is my my belief, Chirag.
All right, so thank you.
Okay, so and before that, before Chirag asked, where was I? Okay, a couple more doubts here. Uh, okay, compilation. I have not yet shared. I'll share it. I have to find it somewhere. I'll once I give you the next class exercise, I'll get to that. Yeah, metaphor. Take a broader picture. Don't go mechanical. But if it's a technical topic, you go for a textbook definition or the definition that you have by hearted. All right. So let's start with the first exercise of the body. Okay, I'll finish the doubts. hamster queue, that too with a unique one. How can we achieve that? So one thing is, once I'm done with the classes, I'll be mailing you the value added material that contains some of the unique ones, anecdotes for hook or for examples for the body. That is one thing. But the thing here is all of you will have access to that. So if you have already have a collection of unique ones, add mine as a value addition to that and build over it. If you don't have anything so far, keep mine as a base and build over it. But one thing is common, you have to build over it, because my thing that you people will have, and so and almost everybody will be on the same level, but you have to build over it keeping mine as the reference. Because, and from where to build over it? Let's say you're reading a newspaper article, you're watching a biography where some impactful thing comes, you're reading a book, anything, any source of information is okay. Some current affairs you're reading or some newspaper you're reading, which is does not fit into GS 1 2 3 4, but yeah, can be used for the essay. Just keep your eyes, ears, and mind open, and you'll automatically start getting this collection of the unique ones. And if at all you are using the unique ones, I've told you, explain it properly. No, I'll share it. I'll share it, Ajay. No problem. Just define a couple of them. You don't have to define everything, because if you keep on defining everything, because first of all, the hook and core argument will be very big for this topic. So keep it very simple. Sometimes you can actually start with the example and go for the go for the argument, just to mix it up. We will study that in the expertise enhancement classes. For now, go with statement plus substantiation. That mix up we will see in the expertise enhancement classes, because what will happen is, you may fail to maintain coherence, but you are the author. It's always better to have a mixed style. Any further doubts, or can we move on with the example? Sorry, class exercise. Okay. If no further, let's go with the class exercise here. Yes, this is the first one. Time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. So what I want you guys to do is one analysis, one paragraph of analysis, or one statement of analysis, and one substantiation using hamster cube. So 8 minutes for that. One statement of analysis and one substantiation using hamster cube. Last 90 seconds. Amok?
Yes, sir. A roof which protects the inhabitant from adversities of rain, hail, or predators always needs to be in healthy condition to effectively serve its purpose. In a similar way, one must keep his mental and physical state ever ready to face difficult situation in life with difficult situations which life throws at us or grab the opportunities which it offers. If Usain Bolt would not have trained hard every single day, he would not have been able to make his mark in Olympics history.
Okay, decent enough analysis could be more impactful, both the statement and its substantiation. Let's see who else. Kaushik?
Am I audible?
Yes, Kaushik.
Time is very important in our life. Why so? Because opportunity never comes very easily every now and then. To achieve something, preparation needs to meet the opportunity and to better utilize them. To substantiate, India missed the previous industrial revolutions, but industrial revolution fourth is at the nascent stage right now, when AI, machine learning started increasing in our everyday life. This is the time to prepare our youth, students, and industries to proactive policy making so that when the initial deluge come, like the changing and transformation of our economy, polity, and society, we could withstand it and better utilize it and to achieve that goal, having developed countries by through this Industrial Revolution 4.0.
Okay, first thing is the statement itself, analytical statement was fine, but the example is very superficial, like this thing, and too big also, too concise, like too much. All right, we'll read one more. Shravanti.
So, to fix a leak, it is better done when the weather is good, rather than when it is not, as you lead to more leaks, which is in a rainstorm. It means to say that when India was under diplomatically pressurized through American Food Program PL 480, where India was, though it was a self-sufficient country with production of food grains, in spite of fertile lands, it had a little deposits of growing crops. Hence, it decided with an Lal Bahadur Shastri in terms of production, which led to the shining of the sun under his leadership to become a self-sustainable country.
Okay, there's proper coherence between statement and substantiation. Just that the substantiation is very cliched. Okay, but the analytical statement itself was fine. Okay, so good job. Okay, uh, like not very. I'm not satisfied. So I want to read something very unique. So lower your hands. But if you feel that you have written something very mind blowing, okay, just raise your hand. Okay, so anybody who thinks who has written mind blowing? Okay, okay, lot of them. Okay, we'll go with Kaushik with a A. We read Kaushik with a O, Kaushik with a A.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, Kaushik, go. You better be mind blowing. Lot of pressure.
Timing matters. Why? It's not just the intensity and direction of efforts, but when it needs to be executed that decides its fate. The ants collect their food in the warmer months and save it for the colder months because they know food would be scarce in colder season, and many ants enter a state of dormancy in this time. This proactive approach and awareness plays a vital role in their survival.
Okay, Kaushik, news flash. The statement was very good, but the analogy or the story that it told in the morning in the offline class, one student already wrote. I have read it, and also what Chirag wrote with the Buddha story. Same student. So the hook, what he wrote, was like others also have read. So it will not be very impactful. So let's say I'll just give you how the psyche of the examiner work. The
Yes,
Chirag
sir.
also wrote the Buddha hook, and in the morning one student also had written. Let's say I read the students first in the morning, and I read Chirag's hook after two copies or three copies. Then the impact will be less for Chirag, and
Yes.
after that a couple more copies one more person is writing, again impact will go on. Okay, so go on reducing. So that's where uniqueness comes into the picture. Okay, Shrey, let's see if you
Thank you,
can
sir.
blow our mind.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, Shrey.
A shining sun gives more temporal space to capacitate and equip one to protect and prepare against stormy eventualities. The current geopolitical events exemplifies India's air defense preparedness during shining sun to augment its capacity to defend against a potential conflict with Pakistan, which further gives thrust to India's better preparedness for growing Chinese assertiveness, especially when today the sun is shining over the roof.
See, that's actually really good. I liked it. Just that it could be having more specific. You could have brought in the role of S-400 during Operation Sindoor. So that would have actually nailed the bullseye. Okay. So this thing, but a good one. All right. So others, I'll give you a chance in the next one. So we'll go to the next one. A bit of a technical topic here. So go as right as analyze as unique as possible. This 2024 topic. Social media is triggering FOMO amongst the youth, precipitating depression and loneliness. Since it's a technical topic, a easy one, I'll give 6 minutes. And also the list of connectives has been shared. If at all you want to have a look now or later. Last 2 minutes. Smriti, go for it.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, Smriti, go for it.
Social media often showcases curated highlights of other lives, causing youth to feel left out or inadequate, triggering FOMO. This constant comparison can lead to increased feeling of depression and loneliness, as the real life seldom matches the idealized digital world. A mythological example that reflects the emotional toll of comparison is the story of Narcissus from Greek mythology. Narcissus became so obsessed with his own reflection and idealized image that he lost touch with reality and ultimately perished in loneliness. Similarly, social media acts like a modern mirror where youth caught in endless comparison with ideal lives risk emotional isolation and self doubt.
Kya baat hai. Very well written. So when she was reading the narcissist, right? So I was thinking like, how will she connect to social media if she had not brought in the last sentence, right? Similarly, like if she had not linked that narcissist to the social media, then everything would have been ruined. So sometimes the way you express matters a lot. So good job, Smriti. Next, Yogita, can you read?
Yes, sir. The FOMO phenomenon is an amplification of an individual's need to socialize and be included. The social media is but just one tide of a global phenomenon that is the internet that flooded the age, leading to issues like alienation, fall of outdoor activities, and community engagement. For instance, the Blue Whale game that challenged youth to life threatening dares and endangered life was fueled by the youth's curiosity to know and experience a game that all their friends seem to know about.
All right, that's good enough. All right, so well written. One more, we will go. Ritik.
Uh, Social media is like a echo chamber where people showcase things which are not actually true and is actually just a fake version of themselves. As Carl Newport has uh, said, the more you use social media, the more you believe everyone else has a better life.
Okay, decent enough. Okay, so good job. We'll go for the next. Others will get a chance in the next one. Okay, so next one will be a technical, sorry, philosophical topic. What are the unacknowledged legislators of the world? Go for it. And take 7 minutes. Last 30 seconds. Start. Gaurav?
So, poets voice out the troubles and difficulties observed by them during the journey of their life in their writing. To prove, Banu Mustak, the recent Booker Prize Award winner, mentions the challenges faced by the Muslim women in our collection of stories.
I like the way you brought in the recent example that I really appreciate. But the thing here is, the topic shows how what the poet started off ended up becoming the norm, ended up becoming the law, ended up becoming the part of the constitution. So there, I'm not satisfied. Next, we'll go with Bhavya.
Hello.
Yes, Bhavya.
Poets are known to bring in life in a place of desolation. They do so by instilling hope and often indicate ways how to achieve salvation. During the days of Dark Ages, it was Dante's Divine Comedy that gave man salvation. It unleashed the wave of new thinking in Italy, then to rest of the world. The words of Dante inspired others to think of salvation on earth itself, not on heaven, leading to the this led to the ideas of secularism, rule of law, fraternity, etc. later on. The very ideas that dictate the boundaries of today's legislation.
क्या बात है, very beautifully done. Proper coherence between statement and substantiation. Well done, Bhavya. Next, Rubai. Rubai.
Right. Um, Poets have the capacity to influence the minds through creative expression, in contrast to technical laws of legislators, nudging towards reforms and change. The visual impact created by a painter can leave lasting impact than thousand words of a law. In similar way, the artist Louis David, during French Revolution, channelized the inner resentment of people against monarchy by his painting Dent of Marat.
So a little bit more, what you have to show the impact. It was good, but could have been better. Like the previous one, where it was the impact was crystal clearly highlighted. Okay. Others we will do next. We have more exercises for today. So this is with respect to the poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world. Let us go to argumentative style of body writing. And before we go here, and I will first tell you, okay, and then I will dictate you the notes so you can pay attention. Argumentative style of body writing. So starting here, the part is nature of essay topic is again of paramount importance. Now, for an essay topic to be like written in an argumentative style, the scope should provide. It should be at least slightly argumentative in nature. If it's completely analytical, if you write an argumentative style, then it doesn't make sense. At least slightly argumentative, or partly argumentative, or completely argumentative. You can do that. So nature of the topic is important. Don't deliberately try to force in an argumentative style, though this argumentative style works very well. But if try to be forced upon deliberately, then it can it can backfire massively. So the thing here is the argumentative style. So very simple, argument in support, and that's called the argument. Substantiation using a hamster cue, a counter argument in opposition, and substantiation using hamster cue, and a balanced statement if needed. I'll come to exactly what is a balanced statement. So here you have to remember two things, dear friends. First one is, if the topic is completely argumentative. So what exactly is completely argumentative topic is, I'll tell you now. So this completely argumentative topics are generally not philosophical topic. Some philosophical topic, most of them are cannot be completely argumentative, whereas some of the technical topics can be completely argumentative. For example, can capitalism bring inclusive growth? The answer is either yes or no. That is a completely argumentative topic. For example, rise of artificial intelligence, job losses or better job opportunities. So job losses is one argument, and and then better job opportunity is the second argument. That is also a completely argumentative topic. So if the topic is argumentative, so you completely argumentative, the body should start by being argumentative. Generate as many arguments and counter arguments, substantiate using hamster Q, and once you are exhausted of that, then you can bring a bit of analysis or a bit of descriptive. Once you're done with an analysis, you can once you're done with the arguments and the counter arguments, bring in the analysis or the description. Okay. So for completely argumentative topic. Now, what about topics that are partly analytical and partly argumentative? So this type of topic start with the analysis, or largely analytical and slightly argumentative. Again, start with analysis only. Directly don't jump to the argument. Why? I will tell you. So for completely argumentative, what you can do is one dimension: argument, substantiation, counter argument, counter substantiation. And then there, after argument and counter argument and its substantiation, you can go for a balanced statement to reflect your proper stand. Balanced statement between argument and counter argument. Then the next dimension, that is the next argument, next counter argument, next balanced statement for completely argumentative topics. Or you can go argument, counter argument, next counter argument, next argument, next counter argument. And after all the arguments and counter arguments are done, a proper 2 paragraphs or 2 to 3 paragraphs of balanced statements covering the entire arguments and counter arguments. Either you can go argument, counter argument, balanced statement. This is for completely argumentative topics. Now, coming to topics that are partly argumentative, partly or largely argumentative, and slightly argumentative. So what you have to do here is balanced statement is not needed at all. Forget about that. So topics that are partly analytical and partly argumentative, or largely analytical and slightly argumentative, start with the analytical style of body after the transition paragraph. Once you have written the transition paragraph and written the argumentative or exposition in whatever dimensions possible and given its hamster Q, the analytical part that you have written itself become the supporting argument, because you have analyzed that, you have not countered it yet. So the first half of the essay that you have structured, the analysis part, so it becomes the supporting argument. So in the second half, you can directly bring the counter arguments. Or we'll study this tomorrow. You can also bring in additional arguments. Additional argument is adding to the given argument in the second half. This will do 2 things. One, give a proper structure, because in the first half, you have done the analysis in support of the topic. And second thing, it builds the base as a supporting argument for the counter arguments and additional arguments in the second half. So I repeat, for completely argumentative topic, start the body after the transition paragraph: argument, counter argument, argument, counter argument, argument, counter argument. And obviously both argument and counter arguments have to be substantiated using hamster Q. For completely argumentative topic, even the substantiation for argument and the counter argument, try to keep coherence between the statement and substantiation. Also, the substantiation of the argument, try and link it with the substantiation of the counter argument for completely argumentative topics, if possible. And balance statement, you can write after argument and counter argument. And they should, if you're writing after argument and counter argument, it should be 3 to 4 lines, very brief. Or if you're writing after all the arguments and counter arguments are done, you can write it up to 2 to 3 paras, because you are writing for all this. And a bad mistake for a completely argumentative topics is writing all the arguments, 1 to 6 arguments, then 1 to 6 counter arguments, and then 1 to 6, or that will not be 1 to 6, 3 balanced statements, or 3 to 6 balanced statements, and then ask the examiner, Sarji, do the match the following. One place I've written all the arguments with its substantiation. Second place I've written all the counter argument with substantiation, and third place I've written the balance statement. आप ही match the following कर लो, कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा, structure बिगड़ जाएगा, and that will be a massive blunder. For a completely argumentative topic, argument, substantiation, followed by counter argument, counter substantiation. And coming to the topics that are partly analytical, partly argumentative, or largely analytical and slightly argumentative. First, do the analysis. Analysis, let it become the supporting argument. Then in the second half of the essay, counter. Bring the counter arguments. Bring the additional arguments. And then obviously it's substantiation using hamster Q. Right? So this is the structure that you have to follow, and everything starts from the nature of the essay topic. All right, and I want to explain to you one technique. I want to teach to you how to generate arguments and counter arguments. This I call it as the binary. This I call it as the binary approach. And this will work very well for philosophical topics. Right? I'll take this topic. Ship in a harbor is safe. But that is not what a ship is for. This is the topic. A ship in a harbor is safe, but that is not what a ship is for. So as I told you earlier, doing our brainstorming session, this means growth happens outside comfort zone. So what I will do here is, this section is harbor safety. Next is, that is not what the ship is for. That is it. Arey yaar. This is getting auto deleted. Okay, so you all have noted. Just give me a second. A ship in a harbor is safe, but that is not what a ship is for. For this topic, we have two things: safe harbor, and second thing is the purpose of the ship. So first half, it talks about a ship in a harbor is safe, but second half, it talks about the purpose. And then the binary approach. First one, like, your binary, 1 or 0. First one is 1, 1. That means it's a supporting argument, the basic argument. Ship in a harbor is safe, but that is not what a ship is for. The next is 1, 0. A ship in a harbor is safe, but sometimes its purpose is to be in the harbor. Sometimes it has to be there in the harbor. Either for repair or rest or for unloading and reloading, something like that. Next, a ship is not safe in a harbor. So you're bringing in this argument where you're saying, because a tsunami can hit, a weather storm can hit, so a ship is not at all safe in a harbor, and that's why that is the purpose. So 0, 1. Next is 0, 0. A ship is neither safe. A ship is neither safe in the harbor, and its purpose keeps on changing from trip to trip. Okay, so I'll explain it to you again. The topic we have taken is ship in a harbor is safe, and remember, this is not universally applicable. It varies from topic to topic. I'll take one more topic and I'll show you. Okay, so it varies from topic to topic. Okay, a ship in a harbor is safe, but that is not what a ship is for. And in that, we took two aspects of the topic. Ship in a harbor is safe. And second aspect is that is not what a ship is for. That is, it's the purpose of the ship. So we take one will be applicable to all the topics because that is a supporting argument. Ship in a harbor is safe. That is not what a ship is for. Next is 10. Ship is safe in the harbor, but sometimes it is its purpose to be in the harbor. Next, we took 01. Ship is not safe in the harbor, and that's what its purpose is. Next, we took 00. Ship is neither safe in the harbor nor in the journey, and its purpose keep on changing based on its need. So that is the 00. Okay. So if I can apply this to time to repair the roof when the sun is shining, 1001, right? So if I could say time to repair the roof, and this is talks about timing, and when the sun is shining. Okay, this is doing all nonsense. Wait, yeah, here I think it'll be better. Time, sunshine. Now 11 is applicable here. Time to repair the roof when the sun is shining. 10, time to repair the roof, doesn't matter if it's sunshine or moonshine. Okay, it is applicable. Sunshine or moonshine or a storm or raining. Now 01, there is no particular time to repair the roof, and when the sun is shining. So if you see, 01 is very similar to 10. There is 10 says time to repair the roof, doesn't matter which season is that. And 01, there is no particular time to repair the roof, and even when the sun is shining. So, or 01 doesn't make much sense, or it is very similar to 10. So this has to be merged. So 01 is not applicable. 00, no time to repair there is no particular time to repair the roof. Doesn't matter what the weather is. Again, 00 is similar to 10 and 01. Here, only two derivatives are possible. Whereas in the ship, all the four derivatives were possible. So you have to decide what are applicable. And here again, common sense is very important in this binary method. This is a method that I love using to generate arguments and counter arguments. And yes, every argument here, 1 followed by hamster q, 10 followed by hamster q, 01, 00, if applicable by hamster q. Everything has to be substantiated. And that will help you generate. This is one technique along with the ones I taught you before with respect to generating arguments and counter arguments. Because in a way, if you see the core argument part, thesis is the argument and antithesis is the counter argument, right? So one argument and counter argument is direct derivative of the thesis statement itself. Others you can go with this binary method, which works very well to generate. But the thing here is you have to use your common sense to see what works and what doesn't work. If you're using irrelevant stuff, or if for this topic, like the time and sunshine topic, if you use 11, 10, 01, 00, this 01, 10, and 00 are almost same. So it becomes very repetitive. So be common sensical while brainstorming, and see this all happens during brainstorming. So be common, use your common sense. But as I told, common sense is not so, you know it, common. Okay, so take down, then I'll take your doubts. Argumentative style of body writing. Argumentative style of body writing. Take down. Number 1, nature of essay. Nature of essay is of paramount importance. Nature of essay is of paramount importance here. To determine the structure of the body. To determine the structure of the body. Next point. For purely argumentative topics. For purely argumentative topics. For example, can capitalism bring inclusive growth? Can capitalism bring inclusive growth? Or artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence. Threat of a jobless future? Threat of a jobless future. Or better job opportunities? Threat of a jobless future or better job opportunities, etc. You can start the body. You can start the body with proper arguments and followed by counter arguments. Arguments and followed by counter arguments. With hamster Q substantiation. With hamster Q substantiation while maintaining coherence. While maintaining coherence between the statement. While maintaining coherence between argument and counter argument. Between argument and counter argument. If possible, continue, full stop and continue. If possible, try to even maintain coherence. If possible, try to even maintain coherence or similarity. Similarity between the hamster Q substantiation. Between the hamster Q substantiation for argument and counter argument. Argument and counter argument. Next point. In purely argumentative topics, you can use a balanced statement. You can use a balanced statement to effectively express your proper stand. Effectively express your proper stand. This can be written, continue. This can be written in 3-4 lines. This can be written in 3-4 lines. After every argument and counter argument, this can be written in 3-4 lines after every argument or counter argument, or in 2 to 3 paragraphs, after all the arguments and counter arguments are done, or in 2 to 3 paragraphs after all the arguments and counter arguments are done. Next point. For the topics that are partly or relatively less argumentative, Start the body with analytical style. Start the body with analytical style, which in a way will become, the supporting argument, and in the second half of the essay, bring in the counter arguments with substantiation. Bring in the counter arguments with substantiation. Next point. Or continue this same point. You can also bring in additional arguments. You can also bring in the additional arguments. Take down subheading. Binary method to generate arguments and counter for philosophical topic. Binary method to generate arguments and counter for philosophical topic. We'll take an example only and explain it. Okay. So take down the topic. A ship in a harbor is safe. A ship in a harbor is safe. But that is not what a ship is for. That is not what a ship is for. Right. So just make the table like this: harbor, safe, then purpose. Okay, purpose. Take down 1 1. In front of it, you take down supporting argument applicable for every topic. 1 1. Take down supporting argument in front of it. Supporting argument applicable for every topic. Next, take down 1 0. 1 0. Sometimes staying in the harbor is the purpose. In front of it, take down. Sometimes staying in the harbor is the purpose. 0 1. 0 1. Sometimes ship is not even safe in the harbor. Sometimes ship is not even safe in the harbor. 0 0. Take down 0 0. Ship is not safe anywhere. Ship is not safe anywhere. And its purpose is determined by the need. Ship is not safe anywhere and its purpose is determined by the need. So here all the 4 binary combinations will work. Okay. So here all the 4 binary combinations will work. Take on one more example. The time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. Time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. Okay, put the binary table 1 1. Take down applicable. 1 1 is applicable. 1 0. You can write 1 0 here only rather than writing here. 1 0. You can repair the roof irrespective of the weather at all times. 24/7, 365 days. I'm just telling informally because this is the brainstorming part. You cannot write like that. Okay. Next, 0, 1. No particular time. 0, 1, you write. No particular time to repair the roof. No particular time to repair the roof. 0, 0. Always be ready to repair the roof. No time again. Always be ready to repair the roof. Put a flower bracket for the last three and tell all are very similar. All are very similar and hence repetitive. For the 1, 0, 0, 1 and 0, 3, you put a flower bracket. Or all are very similar and hence repetitive. Okay. So take down a note. This technique has to be used cautiously and with common sense. This technique has to be used cautiously and with common sense. See, this is, I think, the fourth or fifth time I'm dictating common sense. Because as I've told you, 20% of the essays about common sense is what can be written and what should be avoided. If you do that, then you're amazing. Okay, cautiously and with common sense, as this may not be universally applicable. As this may not be universally applicable or even get repetitive. Once, continue. Using one size fits all approach. Using one size fits all approach may actually turn to be counterproductive. May actually turn to be counterproductive. Done. Okay, if you have go through the argumentative style of body writing, and if you have doubts, to ask. Go through, and then we'll do the exercises for this and end today's session. Exercises for this. Okay, pretty much easy, right? Just you should know when to use and how to structure the essay. So structuring is very important, I'm telling you. So nature of the topic, guys. Okay, and that will come with practice. What is the nature of the topics? So the first FLT is on Wednesday. So once the FLT is done, in our one-on-one discussions, we'll further refine it. For year-long batch, we'll do more of these sessions because you need more refinement. And when your test comes, even in your one-on-one, we'll be discussing it. So we'll hold just the exercises. Like, we'll not have a proper class. We'll just do some exercises, some core arguments, some analytical dimensions, argumentative dimensions, right? So we will keep on doing this until you get the perfection, even the conclusion part, etc. Right? So yeah, one holds. See, for partly argumentative and partly analytical, start with the analytical part. The analysis itself forms the supporting argument. 1 will be the analysis only, and then you write whatever the counter arguments that are applicable there. Okay, because if you go analysis, if you mix analysis and like counter arguments in the same dimension, it becomes very difficult. Also, if you feel you have more than one or more than two counter arguments, more than one or more than two counter arguments, after first argument, give a basic premise of a supporting argument. So what I mean to say is, let's say you have four or three counter arguments in a partly argumentative and a partly analytical topic. So you already build the analysis part. In the counter argument, you get the first counter argument and its substantiation. Now I wanted to give a premise. How do you give a premise? As seen earlier. So where it is, I'll just as seen earlier. Okay, the timing of roof repair is essential to handle the crisis. So let's say this was my supporting or argument previously. So I want to counter it. So I'm just reintroducing this because I have more counter arguments. So if there is one or two, it's okay. You don't have to give the premise. But anything more than two, it will become like it may get confusing. So you can get up, like recall the memory of the examiner. See, I'm not telling artificial intelligence is not analytical, right? Any topic or most of the topics are analytical. So if you see the first class that we did, all topics are descriptive. Most topics are analytical. And some topics are argumentative. But artificial intelligence, this is a PYQ, I think 2016, right? Artificial intelligence, threat of a jobless future or rise of job opportunities. It's in nature, how it has structured is perfectly argumentative. So start with arguments. Whatever arguments, counter arguments are there, first do that. And whatever remains, you go for either analytical or descriptive. Because argumentative style of writing is very impactful. Or can capitalism bring inclusive growth? The answer is either yes or no. So in its framing only, the essay topic is naturally argumentative. So it's a purely argumentative topic. So start the essay or start the body of the essay by the arguments and counter arguments. And once, let's say, if you can finish the entire body argumentative and analytical, sorry, argumentative and counter arguments, then finish it. Because I'm pretty sure when you're doing that arguments, counter arguments, somewhere the analysis part will also enter there. Somewhere the analysis part will also enter there. But just in case you are exhausted, let's say you just had four arguments and four counter arguments, you need another 2 to 3 dimensions to be written. Bring a little bit of analysis, or you cannot bring any analysis, description is the way to go. And tomorrow we'll be doing with the descriptive part, how to do that. But keep it as a last resort. Okay, keep it as a last resort. Okay, let's go for the exercises now for this and then wrap up the session. Where are the... This is a ship topic. Yeah, ship topic so I have already covered. So go for this topic. I think 8 minutes is sufficient for argument, substantiation, counter argument, and counter substantiation. Use the use the connective words I have shared with you to maintain coherence between argument and the example.
Excuse me, sir, can you repeat the topic, please?
The topic is knowledge speaks, wisdom listens. Okay, my writing pad is out of charge. I'll just put it on charge and screen will be back. I'm typing out the topic. Knowledge speaks, wisdom listens. Last 3 minutes. Last 1 minute. Yeah, time up. Why isn't any hands raised? What happened?
So, do we give the entire plan or just a paragraph?
Read out the entire argument, substantiation, and the counter argument and counter substantiation.
But sir, then there will be just one of such binaries that we can actually address, right?
Yeah, here with respect to binary, there's just one. Yeah. Yeah, who wants to read? Okay, Kashish.
Yes, sir. A person with knowledge tend to assert it and demonstrate it. Knowledge can be said to be outward or outflowing in nature. Meanwhile, wisdom is inward flowing in nature. It helps one to not just hear but listen, understand, and respond. To illustrate, a teacher lecturing in class has the knowledge where he stands and speak, but a wise teacher will also listen to the class and its students, thus not making it unidirectional. But that is not true in all cases, as sometimes wisdom can not just listen but speak also. For instance, Krishna, while giving the sermons of Bhagavad Gita, not just listen, not listens, but entire instance, he speaks the lessons to Arjuna. That's all.
Okay. Good one, Kashish. The statement, the substantiation for the argument where teacher should not only speak but also listen could have been a more like how Krishna you brought in, no? Something better if you could have brought in that would have been a little bit more impactful. So what about me, Kashish? Do I listen or do I just
Yes,
speak?
sir, very much.
I'm just kidding.
Wise teacher.
Right. Okay. Next, Chirag.
The knowledgeable ones may be insecure about their abilities and hence say aloud all that they know to boost themselves. But the wise people are those who enrich themselves from others and hence give a more apt response. For instance, there were many poets who wrote prashastis in praise of kings, but it was only Kalhana who was wise enough to give a critical account of Kashmiri rulers in Raj Tarangini. However, at times it is the knowledgeable who remain quiet, often out of fear of prosecution, but only the wise men have courage to raise their voice, just the way Socrates did against the totalitarianism and ignorance.
क्या बात है, beautiful. Okay, good argument and its substantiation and good counter argument and its counter substantiation. Uh, your optional is what, Chirag?
Sociology, sir.
Okay, okay, all right.
Lot of AMAC for prelims, so I remember Kalana.
That's what I thought. Kalhana, if you are quoting, I was wondering if your optional is history. Okay, we'll do Ankita.
Knowledge of any person is highlighted in the way one carries oneself. It may be how one speaks or with the body language one depicts. For instance, in Bollywood hit Three Idiots, there was no doubt in the knowledge of antagonist Chatur. His knowledge echoed from the class lecture scenes to the actual real world. However, it is the wisdom that listens, as a wise person knows that with one knowing, a plethora of unknown things unfolds up. So there is always a space to gain more. It was the listening habit of Hunsuk Wangdu throughout the college and at the climax what made him a wise person along with knowledge.
Okay, so decent enough, but I'm not a huge fan of movies. If movies are there, use it very briefly and use socially relevant movies itself. Okay, but otherwise,
Okay, sir.
well done. Okay, we'll do the last exercise for the day on a sort of a technical topic. Patriarchy is the least noticed and the most significant structure of social inequality. So, since it's a technical topic, take 7 minutes. Argument, substantiation, counter argument, counter substantiation. Last 1 minute. The person with the user ID R. So can you read?
Patriarchy. Hello, sir.
Your name?
Raghuram.
Oh, Raghuram. Okay. Yeah, Raghu. Read.
Patriarchy is masked by social accepted norm. Sorry, sir. I will start again.
Start again.
Patriarchy is masked as a socially accepted norm, but have a negative impact with respect to freedom one have. For instance, the practice of Pati Panchayat is seen but not questioned, which raises the question about the women political participation. But this is not true, though. A patriarchy is noticed. Sometimes it is not major factor for social inequality. For instance, during the self-respect movement, though patriarchy was there, but what took center stage is the caste discrimination.
Good enough. Okay. I like the argument and the counter argument and coherence. Amog?
Yes, sir. Social inequality stems from various reasons. However, for gender inequality, patriarchy is the sure perpetrator. Yet this culprit often lives on bail granted by misogynists and chauvinists. NFHS 5 reports only 15% of cases of violence against women is getting reported. However, in many cases, patriarchy has established its presence explicitly in social spheres. It is evident in how a woman had to take permission from male for every choice she makes. It is also evident in the brutal case of sexual violence that took place in Arjikar Medical College.
Good argument, good counter argument. Technical topics are very easy to write. Okay, so we will read one last for the day. Shravanti, can you finish it off for us?
Yes, sir. Men and women are like two wings of the bird. It needs both of the wings to realize the value of a potential for a greater heights. But the world is currently trying to fly high with its only one wing, which is a patriarchy. But presently, it has also identified the role of a woman in the present society by immunizing the reservation of women in legislature, like 33% of reservation.
Okay, so could have been framed better. Okay, counter argument could have been better, and there is no substantiation for the supporting argument. So could be better. All right. So we'll wrap up today's session now. Okay, tomorrow we will do a bit of additional arguments. Okay, like additional arguments. Uniqueness we will do in the expertise enhancement class, as I told you earlier, and then we will go for the worst case scenario descriptive and do the conclusion and a bit of flow. That will be the agenda, and we'll wrap up the first set of classes. And Wednesday will be your first test, as I've told you, for those appearing for mains. Those who are not, we'll keep on doing the sessions and we'll further refining you. All right. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow on time. Bye bye. And first, I have to stop recording.